Good evening and welcome to the Bedtime Stories. I know, y'all thought I stopped it. And I did for a little bit. I took a little break, a much needed break from social media and school a little bit because things were starting to get a little overwhelming. But I'm back because I am determined to finish this daggone book this year. I got this book in 2022, 22. I started reviewing it in 2023, and girls and boys, I'm still reading it. Now, I did come to the end of the first book that I had, and it left you with a cliffhanger. I got in contact with the author, Kiara Holtz, and she said, "Girl, I did a combo, book one and two. Get the rewrite." So that's what I did. So before we get started with chapter 18 and 19, let's get into this bedtime cocktail. This bedtime cocktail. Okay, today's cocktail will be a buttery rum. And it consists of soft butter, nutmeg. Can you see that nutmeg? Nutmeg, cloves. I'm going to have ginger and cinnamon. Yes. I'm going to put all of that and I'm going to mix it in the butter. And then we will have, we will put the rum. We're going to be using Bacardi Black as the rum and hot water, which we have here in my teapot. So without any further ado, let's get to mixing. Okay, what I've done is I got a cold bowl. I put a bowl of mine in the freezer for it to just chill so that I can use it to mix the room temperature butter because we don't want it to be completely soft and mushy for this mixture. So I'm gonna put this stick of butter in this cold bowl. Okay. Now with that, now we want it to be soft so that it's easier to mix. Okay? So you're gonna get you a little rubber spatula here. A small one will do. You can do a big one if you want. And this mixture that we have here can be used later, okay? Because it's only me here. So I'm gonna eyeball the seasoning. You know how we do. You know how aunties are when it comes to their cooking. I don't know how many teaspoons this is. It's just shake until you like it. So I'm putting some cinnamon on that butter. So I'm gonna just shake it until it's kind of nicely coated. I'll add more if I feel like I need more. Okay. Some nutmeg. Now I'm gonna tell you, I love me some nutmeg, child. I might do a generous portion of the nutmeg there. We're gonna put a dash, just a few dashes of ginger, just that gives it a little bite. It was a couple of shakes of ginger. You don't. I would say that if you're going to use measuring, I would probably do like a tablespoon of cinnamon, a tablespoon of nutmeg, a teaspoon of ginger, and a teaspoon of cloves if you're going to measure. Okay. We really want the cinnamon, and the nutmeg to really do it. So right now, what I'm doing now is I'm just mixing up this butter, this concoction. It's not doing it as smoothly as I wanted to do, but you just mix it up like you're making biscuits. Okay, you're just really what you're doing is you're making a spiced butter, and then you're going to season your rum with this butter. So okay, so it's not allowing me to mix it the way I wanted to mix it. So let me just take my time and talk to you a little bit. I think probably want a little more cinnamon in here. So first of all, Merry Christmas. Some cinnamon, some nutmegos. You know what it could use? A little more nutmeg. It could use some sugar. Wait for it. Let me get let me get a little sugar, some little brown sugar. So I'm back with some brown sugar. I got some light brown sugar from Kroger or Fry's out here. And I would say maybe take a tablespoon of sugar to add to help sweeten the deal. So I just got, you know, your everyday big spoon. You know what, y'all? Get this. Only one drinking this is me. If you're doing it for yourself, do this. If not, get you some gloves, okay? But since it's just me, I'm just gonna break off some of this brown sugar and put that in that concoction right there, just to give it a little, you know, to add a little to it. Okay, make this concoction something that you might want to eat without adding any rum to it. So let's mix that all up in there, hmm like this and like that, and I added a little more cinnamon and nutmeg. All right, all right. Now, now that we've mixed that all together and made it into like a paste, some people put it in saran wrap and then put it in the freezer and let it chill till you can cut it. Me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in this glass bowl. Okay. So I love these rubber or spatulas, but sometimes you need a spatula to get the stuff off the spatula. It's good at cleaning your bowl, but what's going to clean it? Another spatula. Okay, so I'm just trying to get as much of this off out of this bowl and put it into this bowl. There we go. Oh, what you talking about and why you talking about it, child? Okay. Now it's much more buttery than sweet, which is fine with me. It's perfectly fine with me. So now we're going to take these leftovers as much as we can. We're going to put this away and we're going to put this in the freezer to chill as we heat up the glass mug that we're going to be using for this buttery rum. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to heat up the mug, kind of prepare it for the warm drink that we're preparing, this warm cocktail. So what we do first is just put a little hot water in a glass mug or whatever mug that you're using. I'm using this glass mug here because I want you to see what I'm doing. So I got me some hot water in this pot and we're going to pour some in here and just let that sit there. And now, while we're letting that heat up the mug, I'm going to tell you the backstory of a savage and his lady. So we have got to the point, this is a story about two young people, Kyra and Dinero. They're best friends from childhood. But really, are they just best friends? Well, come to find out, they were more than friends, and they found out through this book in A Savage and His Lady. And we're now in chapter 18 and 19 at the point where, after all that they've been through, Kyra was pregnant by her ex-boyfriend, or so she thought. Okay, and he then kidnapped her, took her somewhere he don't know. I believe it's Kentucky, for her to have his child. He thinks this child he thinks is his. He has his mother, this nurse who is his mother. Okay, uh, induce Kyra's labor so that she can have this baby and he can move to Atlanta. So they do just that. The plan was to leave Kyra for dead, but Gabby had a heart because she was a mother too. And she knew she would have been sick if the same thing happened to her. So she gave her some hope, gave her a burner phone, and that is how Dinero, her real true love, found her, rescued her. But the kicker, Kyra looked at the baby after she looked just like Dinero. And at that moment, she remembered Memphis. Now, if you want to know the whole story from the beginning to the end, you gotta read the book, A Savage and His Lady. It's way over there, but you're gonna see the book in a little bit. You want to. That's what you want to do. You want to get that book, and you want to read it. So we're going to, once we finish this buttery rum, we're gonna get into A Savage and His Lady. Now let me go ahead and pour out this water and get this cold butter. Okay, now that we've got that done, we got the cold, the cup is hot. Now what do we do? It's time for us to mix up, start putting the rum in there. We're going to put about a jigger or two in this buttery rum. So let's open this up. Gonna pour that in there. Bam. That's a lot of rum. I may have overdid it, I admit. Okay. Because I have a heavy hand. Call me heavy handed Harriet. That's what my family do. It's okay if you do too. Now we're gonna add a little brown sugar again because it's just me. I can do it. I'm just gonna put this clump right in there. Never too much, never too much. Look at it, bubbling and fizzing on the pavement. So I just put that in there. That's a lot. I like stuff sweet, okay? Because I'm sweet. That's what makes me sweet. Okay. Now we put the sugar in there. Now we could stir it up a little bit just so we don't have a bunch of sugar at the bottom. Now I like brown sugar because brown sugar isn't super sweet, but it lifts it because it's made from molasses. So rum is sugar cane, whole thing. Woo! Mm, mm. There's sometimes I be thinking that Bacardi be bottom shelf because I always see it on the bottom shelf. Can I tell you the truth? But that was a good flavor. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little dollop, not dollop of daisy. We're gonna dollop of this butter, this spiced butter, and we're gonna put that in there. Just a dollop, just a dollop. Okay, just a just a do. Okay, and we're going to pour some hot water over that. That's gonna help melt the butter. Okay. And we can stir up some more. Little darling, stir it up. So the butter melts. Now, some people put the hot water over the butter so it's melted, then add the liquor or the spirit. It's all going to be buttery rum. Now, I'm pretty sure that depending on the what's the word I want to say? Depends on, sometimes it depends on how you put it in that determines what this comes out to be. In this one, it might be true. It might be true that if you put the butter in, then the hot water, then the rum and the sugar, all that, it it will turn out another way. Okay, but this is the way I do buttery rum. Now, let me, because I really like nutmeg. Now, you don't understand. There's a couple of seasonings in my adult life that changed my life, and that is garlic and nutmeg. Cinnamon what? If I really understood the beauty of nutmeg, cinnamon would never had a chance. Okay? Now, this is my buttery rum. Hello, hallelujah, amen. Tenderism. Let me, Auntie did it again. Tenderism, tenderism. One in the nation, one location, one in the nation. Right here, Phoenix, Arizona. Anyway, let's get into A Savage and His Lady, chapter 18 and 19. Okay, let's get into A Savage and His Lady. Now, in the spirit of the season, I have my remix candle peppermint flavor. Okay, this is a peppermint candle. It is layered. It's 1 cent, two colored candle. Now it's only $17. It is only okay. So you want to go to remixcandles at gmail.com and order you one. $17 plus shipping. So, and I added a little peppermint spoon that I got from the Dollar Tree in my drink. So we're going to get a little peppermint. Okay, let's get into chapter 18. Now, chapter 18 starts off with them on a good note. Dinero has successfully rescued his woman from the evil Nitro. I don't know why my candle trying to escape the picture. Get in there. Get in there. Let your light shine, girl. Don't nobody puts baby in a corner. Anyway, so I realized I could have a better background here. Hold on for a moment while I kind of recenter so that I'm to just have like there's nothing over here. There's something here. Matter of fact, cut this out, editor. No, they're not gonna cut it out because I'm the editor. There we go. So that makes me feel like I do have a full wall of hats here, but I also have my little butler here, which kind of prevents me. Let me push this a little further to the left, to the left. There we are. Hold up, here comes the light. Oh, that's much better. That's much better. Okay. Now you come on over here. And this is staying in because I don't feel like cutting. Okay, so he's in rescue now. 18 starts off of Nitro's commentary. He's holding the baby that he took from AKARA, thinking that it's his child. But he's noticing something. He's noticing the tips of his ears and his fingertips in the nail bed. And they're dark. They look like me. Beautiful. And the mom mentioned something. Gabby, remember I told you she was the nurse. Okay, that's his mom. His Mexican mom. So Nitro's is a Mexican American man. Okay. And he's asked his mom, he said, Mom, was I a dark baby? He said, child, you look Mexican when you came out, child. You was a little Mexican. Okay. He said, And then she mentioned, huh. He said, yeah, so I wasn't dark. So she says to him, like, and it's interesting because as dark as your father is, because his father is a Black American, um, you still came out white. That baby is showing signs that it's going to get darker. You sure this baby yours? She started questioning him. You sure this baby your baby? Now, mind you, in the previous chapters, 16 and 15, Kyra recognized after she had that baby, it looked just like Dinero. Now, Auntie told you they had a night in Memphis. That is Dinero and Kyra. And that's when Cairo, which you'll find out later on in the chapter, was. So he's starting to question if this child is his as well. But the mother didn't help by asking him, oh, he's kind of dark. Now, ain't that boy that girl was dating dark skin? And that's when Nitro went off, F that dude, whatever, this is my baby. But in the back of his mind, hit his conscience call. And he might have realized that he stole the wrong baby. But it didn't matter. So Kyra comes in with her commentation. She's still kind of grasp everything that just happened to her. She's lying on the bed, looking at the ceiling, and she pulls out the phone that Gabby, the burner phone I told you she got from Gabby, the nurse, aka Nitro's mama. Okay, and that's how Dinero was able to find her. Pulls it out, and Dinero's like, "Why you pull that out for?" He's like, "This is my only connection to my boy. You know, this is my only hope." And so Kyra's like, I mean, that's her response. He's like, so he couldn't say much about it. So Kyra started to get up, get dressed, take a shower, get dressed. And Dinero was said, "Where you going?" He said, "I'm going to the shop. Remember, the shop you gave me?" He said, "I understand that, but you just lost a baby, just came from being kidnapped, and you need to chill. You need to lay down. You need to chill, right?" And Kyra's like, "What am I supposed to be doing up in here doing nothing? I need to keep my mind busy. Let me get out there and let me get involved in the shop and work. And it's just going to take my mind off a lot of this stuff." And that is how a lot of people cope. I cope that way. I cope by working. That's how your girl copes. Okay, by working. It helps me get my mind off of all my issues sometimes. Okay, so he's like, all right. So he said, so at least let me take you, because, I don't know if this crazy man out here again is trying to take you out, take me out, take our baby out. I don't know. We don't know. He says, fine, I need to get these eyebrows done because I am not stepping up in my clothing store and I'm looking raggedy and my eyebrows all over my head. He's like, all right, whatever you want. So he takes her, but he says in his mind he hates going to Nashville, to where they're going because it's the hood. He just doesn't like going from a nice area to a bad area. You know how it is. That's true for anybody. If you're used to living in a better, what I'm saying, it's a little highfalutin area, it's harder for you to go back, even if you came from that. You know what I'm saying? So she goes to this hood shopping center. If you live in Atlanta, it's like West End. Okay. If you live in Arizona, I don't know what to call it because I've only been here a year, two. So I don't know what the equivalent of a hood mall is. Christown Mall. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the little hood mall shopping center is. So she goes in to get it. She said, he's hoping it's not all day. So as she's in there getting her eyebrows done, her meaning Kyra, guess who he sees walking into the store? That itch. Yeah, she's an itch that you can't seem to get rid of. Okay. Walking into the store and he was like, hey, he got out the car. He was like, hey, this is Ivy, the stripper girl that video recorded them having their session, if you know what I mean. Boom, chicka, wow, wow. Okay. And sent it to Nitro, who sent it to Cairo, who's trying to destroy her relationship with with Dinero. It's a long story. Get the book. You want to get the whole book, the rewritten book, the two books in one. Okay, the part one and part two. This one from Amazon. So, child, she comes out. She tries to walk like she didn't see him, and he catches up with her. He basically is like, "Hey, itch, where you been? Why you do what you did?" Because he never confronted her after he found out that she sent that video, right? And so she was like, "Look, I didn't send her that video. I sent it to the other, the Igga that won't with her." Okay, I can't think of another rhyme. Okay, okay, he's an Igga you can't get rid of. Okay, and that's basically what De Niro said. This is everywhere. Who ain't involved with Nitro, right? As you say, he's the one who sent it, but I do apologize for the part I played in it. He's like, whatever itch. Okay, whatever itch, scratch yourself. That's what he said. Okay, and so he said, well, whatever the situation is, I'm glad I did see you because I do need to talk to you, and that ain't never good, y'all. When someone say we need to talk, sometimes the we need to talk is I gotta commend you, but most of the time it's something that you didn't want to hear. So she says, I'm pregnant. And he said, who what? Please. And why you telling me? You's a whole stripper. Okay, I don't know how many dudes you let come up in you like that. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Halls or whatever. I don't know what your kids say now. Okay, excuse me for the belching, right? And so she's like, it doesn't matter what I do for a living and that whole thing. And he's like, whatever. He said, and then she says it again very loudly, just as Kyra was leaving. Oh, Lord. Okay. Child, and I think I may have already went to chapter 19. No, no, I haven't went to 19 yet. Not yet, 19 yet. So Kyra happened to hear her on the second time of telling him, "This baby is your baby. I'm pregnant with your baby." And Kyra said, "What?" And Dinero is like, "Oh Lord, Lord, Lord." He instantly started calling on the Lord because he knew that this is going to cause a huge problem. And she doesn't say anything. She goes, gets in the car. The whole ride back to wherever they were, either home or wherever their destination was a wrap. She didn't say a peep, not a word, not a single word on that ride, and it was killing Dinero. Dinero was like, "Oh, say something," and she's like, "What am I going to say? I'm taking all the energy in me not to knock you out right now." But Dinero persisted. Say something. She spoke with her hands and clocked him in the eye while he was driving. They said, "Now, you still want me to say something?" "No, shut up. You effed up. Not only did you cheat on me with this whore, okay, but you didn't even strap up. You didn't put no." And she said, "Miss me about you being drunk. That does not excuse you for sliding up in that hole." Wrong. And I get it. I get it. I get it. And at that point, if I would tell you young men, if you're in an argument, you want it to stop, don't say nothing. Because you mess it up the more you try to fix it. Anyway, so she goes, they get home. She goes immediately to the closet and start packing her stuff. And, of course, the Daenerys following her, pleading his case. And let me tell you, the gangsterous thing that Kyra did was she left him in his car. She took his car. Now, mind you, I don't want to say this is a young lady. This is a young lady that had two men by her car. Okay? But she ain't taking the car that they bought for her. She took his car. And he says, like, "How you gonna leave me and take my car?" He's like, he said, "Like this, big," and roll at that garage door, come up and back her thing up, and not in the dun, 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 if you and a back that thing. No, not in that way. She ain't back it up. She backed his car out and drove the hell away. Okay. So of course, how does the Nero deal with it? He gets drunk. He gets drunk. He gets drunk. Okay. Drinking his whiskey. And so that ends chapter 18. Now we go into 19 with Daenerys commentary, with him already sloshed. Now, mind you, this ain't the next day. This is the same day. Okay. So he done got home. He's drinking. He's mad at himself. He's mad at Ivy. He's mad at everybody. A little bit upset at Kyra for leaving him on a mistake. It's like, dog. First of all, she was like, "No, dog." The fact that she was a stripper should have stopped your whole behind. Or or kind of like the way in Boomerang, if you haven't seen this yet, This is a movie back in, I want to say the 80s. The Eddie Murphy and a slew of comedians and wonderful black actors had this movie called Boomerang. In the movie, um, he was dating Holly Berry after trying to go for his girl. Was that what's her name? Oh man, why I can't think of her name now. It's not Holly Berry. It's another character woman, very popular. Can't think of her name off the top of my head. She was married to Mike Tyson at one point. Can't think of her name, but I can see her face very clearly. And he was just trying to hit her. You know what I mean? So they did their thing. They had their fun. It is what it is. So, and she says like they were dating, but he had one night with her, and basically Holly Berry's character said, "Love should have brought you home last night," and that's basically is what Kyra is telling him. Love should have stopped you from sleeping with that woman, Ivy. Now you asking me to accept not only a child, but the not but the woman you cheated on. Okay, that'd be different, like in Kyra's situation where she was actually dating Nitro, and they were having sex, and she could have gotten pregnant by him. You know what I'm saying? She was in a whole relationship, but with him, they were literally it just got good. Just realized that they want each other, they love each other, and the people that we were with, we don't want them. And find out that he cheated on her, and now that person is pregnant. Now this is crazy. So he's drinking. His sister comes to. He's going through the scenario himself. He's trying to get in touch with Kyra. Kyra's not answering his phones. He's drinking. He's begging and leaving all kinds of voice messages and everything. The next commentary is his sister Denise, who is like kind of fussing to herself, like, why nobody answering no daggone phones nowadays. I'm trying to get in touch with people and nobody's answering the phone. So apparently she's been trying to contact her best friend Kyra and her brother Dinero, and neither one have been answered. That's because they didn't find out some more drama. Okay, so she goes into the house with her key that she's been given, and just to check and see if everything's okay. And so she goes in there, and the house is dark, like nobody's in there. And she's like, I hope none of y'all is bleeping up in here. And so she's going through the house. She passes De Niro's office, and she hears, Denise, why are you here? And she's like, boy, why are you sitting here in the dark? He turned on the light. Oh, ooh, she looked at his eyes and said, who did that to you? He said, now I don't need no time for these interrogations. I said, look, I was looking for y'all. I was calling y'all and nobody's answering the phone. What's going on? What's up with Kyra? Why she not answering the phone? Why you not answering the phone? What's going on? He said, fine. Kyra clocked me in the eye. And she said, oh, Lord. And she laughed at him and said, whatever, what you do? And then he said, he mumbles about how Ivy was pregnant. She said, she got close to me. He said, what you say? Ivy's pregnant, man. Yo, she's like, she said, you stupid. How you gonna sleep with a stripper with no condom? He's like, I know, nah. You really don't need to hear him. If he's anything like myself, you can beat yourself up already. I don't need you doing it too. Come on, dog. Right? That's what I would say. That's what I would think. So he's like that. And so he's trying to kind of get rah with his sister. And his sister had to check him straight, like, you the stupid one. You the one to keep messing up. Y'all was finally good, and you cheated, and you not only cheated on her, but you cheated on her with no condom. You the one that's stupid. Don't get on me because I blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? She had to set her brother straight. Okay. So where's Kyra? He's like, I don't know. But he does know. Because he said in the previous chapter, which I did not say, but you would have read it if you got the book. Okay. That he has a tracker on all his vehicles. So he knows now we skip to the Kyra's commentary in 19, where she says in chapter 19, that is, she calls their friend Diamond King's wife. This King is Dinero's friend that's in the game, if you know what I mean, in the pharmaceuticalisms, the isms, the street ones. You know, yeah, those ones. Hmm. So she said, "Look, me and Dinero had an argument, and I just need to know." As she asked if can I stay in your condo downtown Nashville for a little bit, because I just don't want to see his face. Right? She said, "Oh, sure." First pause, right there, pause. I need those type of friends. I need those type of friends that have a condo that's just sitting there, and I can say, "Look, I had an argument with my boo. I need a little getaway with myself and get out of my neighborhood for a little bit. I need to experience a little bit of opulence for my life." I mean, this is not what she needed it for, but I need a friend that I can say, "Hey, you know, can I stay there for a little bit? I'm going through a little bit of hard time." She said, "No problem." So she said, "Meet me at the condo in a few minutes, whatever." So she meets her down there at the condo. She puts her stuff in there, and Diamond, just like a true girlfriend, is like, "Girl." She opens the door. "Girl, hey." She gives her a hug. "Tell me what's going on. What's happening?" And so, of course, Kyra broke down the whole situation, and Diamond trying to give her some wisdom with how they roll. And when I say it's not a gang, but how their family, their people roll. You don't do deadbeat dads. You're gonna need to get over this woman, okay, and accept the fact that if he's not sleeping with her, there's nothing nefarious going on between him and this woman, okay, you're just gonna have to accept that he has a child if you want to be with him. But I do not agree with anybody feeling like that you okay, so he said take care of the kids, okay, take care of the children, and I we believe in taking care of the kids. He was like she left her a little something to think about. So a little bit later, she calls her mom and tells her that, "Hey, I'm gonna be there to pick up Danelle." Her mom questions because Dinero had been there looking for her, and she said, "Mom, I'll explain when I get there." So she gets there to pick up Danelle, but she has dinner with them. And then her mom, during dinner, asks what's going on, and she explains to her what's going on. And basically, her mom gives her the same situation. Don't let these other hoes think that they got a foothold and can get in there. Okay, stand by your man. Okay, and don't let these other hoes get in there because that's what she's doing. This is a situation where someone could be taking your place and it could have been prevented had you stuck in there by your man. So that kind of ends with that, and we're gonna go and find out. One, does he win her back? Does she come back home? Does she take the advice of the Diamond and her mom? And um, are they gonna find Cairo? Are they gonna find Nitro? Are they gonna get their get back? We'll find out next time on Bedtime Stories with the Bedtime Cocktail. I wonder which one I should do next. Maybe Stormy Weather.